Hey, line for line, ain't no comp in this rap neither.
You waiting line for line, they keep doing numbers. I gave them the game, trust we lit for the summer. Got doctors and artists and athletic speakers. Come learn from my come up, I'm better than people. I'm in love with the grind, I'm in love with the culture. Do this for the fam, do this for Kenosha. You know I got you, Kenosha. If you got the vision, then come a little closer. Let's get it together, line for line with the soldiers. I'm in love with the grind, I'm in love with the culture. Do this for the fam, do this for...
All right, and just like that, we're back at another episode of the Bears Report. Got my good guy Lester back in the building. Lester, how you feeling tonight?
Doing good. How about you?
I'm hanging in there. Long week as always, you know. A little bit tired right now, I won't lie. Woke up this morning, went crazy for the gym this morning. I don't know why, even though I knew I had a long day.
That's because you're still young. You can do that kind of stuff.
Oh my God. But tell me something to do with you, though.
Nah, just working. It's all these Bears moves are pretty exciting. They got a lot of good stuff popping, and it's kind of cool how everything's kind of coming together for them.
Yes, sir. So since you mentioned the Bears, we can dive right into that. Just tell us a little bit about what you've been seeing, and what do you feel like they're on the verge of doing with the additions that they did add? Because it's looking like the Chicago Colts now.
Yeah, it is. On defense, it's all Colts. I mean, it's then they've announced, I think, 5 hires on the defensive side of the ball, and I believe they're all from Colts. So there's some other rumors. I know there's some talk that he may bring in Rod Marinelli, former Bears defensive coordinator, former Bears D-line coach. He was here with Lovie Smith, obviously. Him and Matt Eberflus have a history. They coached together in Dallas. They're pretty good friends. So there's some rumors there that they may bring him in, but like you said, right now it's all Indianapolis Colts, and everything I'm hearing on these guys, it's all really positive stuff.
What do you think about the addition of the defensive backs coach that they added today?
James Rowe, there was an article, our sister site who covers the Indianapolis Colts, Stampede Blue, they had a good article about him when he was picked up by the Colts last year. And he's just a really good young coach. I mean, there's a lot of real high marks for him. The guy had a chance to talk to some of the guys he coached in college, and everyone speaks very highly of him. Colts fans were upset to see him leave. They thought he was like the next guy. I mean, one of those really smart guys, understands how to teach, understands how to coach. Really makes the players better. So that's a big pickup for the Bears.
Yes, sir. Now I know from past shows you said you don't expect the Bears to do much next season, but with the additions that they're getting now, obviously they still have the same roster, but just the additions for coaching and everything like that, does that give you any type of hope or just any type of inclination that it may be a turnaround season?
It could happen. I mean, look at the Bengals. The Bengals last year had 4 wins. Joe Burrow didn't play much. The rookie got hurt. This year they go 10-7 and they're in the Super Bowl. It could happen. It's if Justin Fields, things click for him in the new offense. I mean, I would not be shocked if they made the playoffs next year. But it's still a long shot. It's still a long shot. It's like, a lot has to go right for this team. There's a lot of holes in this roster still from the past regime that Ryan Poles, the new GM, he'll really have to clean up. So can it happen in one offseason? Yeah. I mean, we've seen teams in the NFL go worst to first every year. I mean, there's a couple teams that do it. So it wouldn't shock me to see the Bears do it, but until I see how the draft plays out and how free agency plays out, and I have a chance to watch them in training camp, I'll still hold with my prediction of right around 500, 8-9, 9-8, something like that.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Let's say Aaron Rodgers does depart Green Bay. What does that do? Does that leave the door open for the Bears in the division too?
Yeah, that definitely leaves it open. I mean that's huge. I mean, if he leaves the NFC North, it's wide open. I mean, then of course you got Minnesota. They have a brand new regime as well. So, there's some talk that they may trade Kirk Cousins. So, if Rodgers goes, if Cousins goes, the Lions are going to be okay, but that division's all of a sudden wide open. Now the Bears could win the division at 9-8, and then if you got that going on, just get in the playoffs. You get in the playoffs, anything can happen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
My God, dude,
you're fired up for next year, aren't you? Already, you're ready.
You got me over here with goosebumps right now. Seriously, what do you think about the guy from Green Bay coming over though? That Aaron Rodgers didn't want to leave. That is documented that he wanted him to stay and told them make sure he sticks around.
He has a good pedigree. The last 3 years he's been in Green Bay. That's Luke Getsy. We're talking about offensive coordinator for the Bears. He has called plays in the past. It's not like his first time play caller. He did it in college a little bit. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the table. Like I said, the last 3 years he's been in that Sean McVay type system, which of course is derivative of the Kyle Shanahan system, which a lot of teams run now. But he also has some background from his college time with Joe Moorhead, who was with Penn State OC for a little while, and he has more spread concepts, run pass option stuff, but his offenses are also known for pushing the ball downfield. So you combine those two things. You look at Justin Fields. He thrives in the play action. He thrived when he was getting out of the pocket, and he thrived when throwing the ball downfield. These are all things that the Bears offense should have. So now I'm getting excited.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, if it all works out for the Bears, if this offense comes together, and then the whole staff they put together, I mean, the guy that came in, the quarterback coach, Janoko, he has some experience in the Kyle Shanahan style offense. He worked with Clint Kubiak, who is Gary Kubiak's son. Gary Kubiak, of course, was Mike Shanahan's OC for years. So same basic system. A lot of the guys he brought in have the Shanahan background.
Yeah.
So they'll be speaking the same language. They'll understand what to do, and they get the best out of Justin Fields.
Doesn't this just amp you up right now talking about this, knowing that you got just these gurus to come to the Bears and work with the young rookie? And obviously, it's safe to say that they see potential with Justin Fields too, because they have the opportunity to say, no, I'll stay where I'm at. I don't want to come over here, right?
Well, the wide receivers coach, Tyke Tolbert, another guy, he has some background in the system, another well-respected coach. I saw some stuff talking about, he's one of the top wideout coaches in the game today. And you look at what the Bears had previously, it was Mike Fury, who the jury's out whether he's a good wide receiver coach. I mean, he came from college. He was Matt Nagy's friend. That's kind of how he got the gig. He never really coached wideouts before. He was the head coach of a small D3 school. That's kind of how he got started in coaching. So the Bears have an actual guy who's going to coach the wideouts. And from what I understand, I heard it today on actually one of our podcasts, Brandon Robinson, he mentioned today on one of our shows that Tolbert had 4 offers, and he chose the Bears.
Wow.
He's also the passing game coordinator. So, there's another young coach in high demand, but he's a very experienced. I think he has 15 years coaching. So, like I said, all these guys on offense, the plan is build the playbook around Justin Fields. They're not going to force him to do something he doesn't want to do. Of course, they're going to have concepts that they want to work with, but it's going to be Luke Getsy's offense, but it's also going to be Justin Fields' offense.
How good does that make you feel that we get a guy who's close with Aaron Rodgers and just next to greatness for all that time? Because you pick up on greatness. Not saying Aaron learned more from him or he learned more from Aaron, but it's just like you pick up on things if you're working with someone and you're working with someone of that caliber. How much do you think will transition into what he'll bring to Chicago?
Yeah, I agree with that. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago when the Bears were to look for a coach. We talked about a guy like Byron Leftwich. He was around Tom Brady. And when you're around greatness, you see how greatness is. You understand how greatness is supposed to act. So by Getsy coming over, he's worked with one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in Aaron Rodgers.
A winning organization, too.
A great organization. So he'll understand that, and that'll rub off on Justin Fields.
Dude, I'm just kidding.
You're ready, man.
I know. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
All right. So just tell us a little bit about the tweets that's been out there of Ryan Poles putting everyone on blast. Like, no one's safe under Ryan Poles. And I heard that he took some shots at the offensive line as well, too. What do you know about that?
Well, the stuff, I think it was the article in The Athletic. He kind of talked about how he expects his offensive linemen that if the quarterback's knocked down, he expects them to go over there and pick him up. He expects that if there's a problem with the quarterback, the O-line's going to solve it. And he referenced the game when Fields was sacked 9 times.
That was the Browns, right?
The Bengals game.
Oh, the Bengals.
Oh, yeah, it was the Browns.
Okay.
Browns, yeah. Myles Garrett had like 4 sacks. Clowney had like 2 sacks. They killed Justin Fields. And he said that when he watched the film, no one picked up Justin Fields the whole game. And he said it kind of ticked him off. So that's the kind of lineman he wants to get. He wants a hard-nosed guy, and he has one now in Tevin Jenkins last year. I mean, if you remember the Vikings game, someone hit Fields late out of bounds, kind of iffy. Jenkins wasn't playing that, man. He went up to him and he got in his face. He got penalized.
And Jermaine Ifedi was like all in his face. Like, come. I was like, you're the last person. I was like, someone should be in your face like that to play better, if anything, you know?
Jermaine Ifedi got so pissed off at Jenkins on the field. Like that's embarrassing, man. I'm shocked Jenkins didn't knock him out.
Yeah.
Back up. But
yeah, you're supposed to ride with your teammate, you know?
So the fact that Ryan Poles talked about he wants toughness, I think that bodes well. I mean, of course, Bears fans, and we eat that up, you know. I mean, Ryan Poles talking about wanting a tough O-line. Matt Eberflus in his opening presser said he wants guys that are Chicago tough. So, man, these guys are hitting all the meatball words here for us. We're excited.
How did it make you feel when he said we're taking the North back?
Good move, good decision. I mean, you got to be confident. I mean, if you remember with the last coach who really came out there with some bravado, the last guy that we haven't seen that since Lovey. You know, Lovey Smith, his opening press conference came out and said that, you know, their goal, they're going to beat the Packers. And, you know, you got to have a goal, you know.
Yeah.
And coming out right now saying, hey, we're going to take the North, put it out there. Let your players know what's expected of them.
Yes, sir.
They expect the title.
Here's my thing. I hear all the talking, we're taking the North back and this, all that. I'm from St. Louis, so you have to show me, you know, because like as a Bears fan, like we always get hyped up and like, oh, we're gonna beat the Packers, we're gonna do this. Show me. So the next question is, how do you think they're gonna maneuver this draft? Like, just tell us a little bit about what you think will be logical for them to do, because I know it's out there that, oh, well, maybe they should trade back, get some stock on some picks. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's got to be the plan. I mean, there's no first-round pick that's gone. You know, Ryan Poles talked about he likes to build through the draft. He also talked about in his press conference how he understands the valuation of players. So there may be some positions that aren't traditionally valued high around like the analytics community, and I think that's something he'll understand. For example, I don't think he'll be trading up to get a running back. I mean, I don't think he'll be trading up to get, you know, certain positions. I think he'll understand, let the board come to him. You know, he'll trade back when possible, especially this first year. I mean, he only has, I think, 5 picks. So if you can move back off the second-round pick, stockpile some picks, maybe get a pick next year, because if you trade back off your 2, a lot of times teams will give you a 2 from the future. So if you can do something like that, get some future picks, get some current picks, you know, getting a nice little a nice little bag there of picks that you can kind of play with, I think that's his best option.
I will say I was watching some Tariq Cohen highlights the other night, and I have some giddy optimism for that. Like, I think that if he comes back from his injury, I think they can still use him, and he can be good in that offense. You know, a nice bailout for Justin Fields, you know, on like 3rd down and 2 or whatever the case may be. Someone to pitch a 2, flick a 2, whatever the case may be. What do you think of that? Do you think he'll be back?
I hope. I mean, he's under contract, he's getting a lot of money. You know, that knee injury's got to be fine by now. I mean, I would hope he's going to be okay. I think at some point in the offseason, we'll start seeing the workout videos. That's how they do, right? They start putting the stuff on Instagram. And, you know, he's in the best shape of his life, you know, and, you know, he's doing like the speed training and stuff. So I'm sure we'll see Cohen do it. I think if he is able to play, if he is back healthy, he will add something to that offense. I mean, he's not going to be the starter, obviously, because you got Montgomery, you got Herbert, you know, but I think as the third option, you know, he can play all over that offense, and a creative coach will get him involved. Matt Nagy seemed to be stagnant with some of the stuff he wanted to do as far as his route concepts and as far as his personnel. He didn't get all his guys in the game and really get the ball in their hands when he should have. We saw him try it a little bit with Cordell Patterson. He just wasn't – he didn't commit to it. Like, he would do it a little bit and he would kind of go away from it. Then we see Patterson, of course, go to Atlanta. You know, he's all over the place, you know, because they're putting him in spots to get the ball and to make plays. That's what something the Bears have to do with Getsy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Before we get ready to close out, what have you thought about what they've been showing at the Pro Bowl with Jakeem Grant, Robert Quinn, and everything like that? Does that give you hope that you got those guys coming back next year?
Well, Quinn's back, yeah, for sure. Grant's actually a free agent, you know, and then again, new regime. How are they going to value a guy like a return man? You would think with the defensive-minded head coach, they may value their special teams a little more than some. Perhaps they could bring him back. I mean, he made the Pro Bowl. You know, he's I think has 7 career returns, touchdowns in his career. So, and then last year, even in Matt Nagy's offense, Grant got the ball a little bit and made some plays. So, I would like to see Grant come back, if for no other reason, because you need some bodies. Right now it's Mooney and it's Daz Newsome. That's all that's under contract. Everyone else is a free agent. So you got to bring somebody back.
Yeah, I heard. Obviously, I said before we close out, but I heard that they want to trade for Ridley in Atlanta. What do you think about that?
Trade for who?
Ridley, Calvin Ridley.
Oh yeah, that's a big buzz on Twitter. That's a lot of talk, and he clearly wants out. There's some issues there, and but you got to make sure he's okay. I mean, he stepped away from football because he had some stuff going on.
Oh, did he? I didn't know he stepped away.
Yeah, he stepped away a little bit personal. He kind of stepped away from the team. They put him on the I forget what list it is, but he had to take a mental break from the game. So whatever it is, if he's right, if he's got everything going good, he's got the help he needs. I think he's quality. I mean, the Bears, they need somebody. I mean, I can't see him getting a true number one this year. I mean, it could happen, but they got to throw some money at somebody and bring some guys in and see what happens.
Yes, sir. Get somebody. I know. I just have one more question before we close out, but what type of organization would you say the Bears are starting to look like with the moves that they made for the coaching staff? I
mean, they have a direction finally. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the cool thing because, the last few years under Matt Nagy, what was the identity? No one knew. And I mean, he was asked this in like every other press conference. What's the identity of the team? And he would say something, but it was kind of like phony and cliche. But you kind of hear Ryan Poles talk. You hear Matt Eberflus talk. And they both have a vision for what they want the Bears to be. They got to get there. They got to show me. Mm-hmm. But they have a vision. They have an identity in mind, and we'll see what happens.
That being said, Lester, we just wrapped up another amazing episode of the Bears Report.
You calling or you listening, tune in every week. Line for line. Oh, yeah, I'm going line for line.